What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chaez Pearson, and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host Chris Camello. What up, Chris?
Hey, let's make this quick. I'm still basting the turkey parmesan over here. Turkey cacciatore.
Stuffing the Thanksgiving turkey. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. From us to you, Outlet Forum, everybody else. We appreciate you guys tapping in for another great week and turkey edition of the Outlet Forum. We got to talk everything NBA and a little bit of football as well. The Celtics in the Pistons 13-game winning streak. Are the Timberwolves an actual contender in the West after blowing that lead to Sacramento? And the Knicks or the Cavs? I can't make my mind up on which team is most disappointing in the East. And of course, with a little bit of football, we got to talk about the best team in the league. We'll get into that. But first, Chris, we got to start off with a team that isn't the best in the West. They got belt to ass from the OKC Thunder a couple weeks ago. But the Los Angeles Lakers are looking mighty, mighty well at 13-4 atop the West. Their big three shines in a clinching NBA Cup game to clinch an NBA Cup quarterfinal game at home next week. Chris, Doncic, 43 points. LeBron, 25 points. Reeves, 31 points. This game had everything from points to defense. Well, maybe defense, not so much. But the Lakers looked absolutely good on the offensive end. What do you make of this sign for the Lakers? And is this sustainable for them? Because they're doing it without DeAndre Ayton and shooting or even playing very well at all. How far can they take this? And how great can they really be, honestly?
Yeah, they're 13-4. They're not a good defensive team, as you just pointed out. They're still trying to dial that in. They don't have much of a point of attack defender. They don't really have great scoring coming off their bench. And let's not even get started on their consistency from downtown. And yet they're 13-4. And yet they're beating up on the competition. It just goes to show you when you play to your strengths, good things can happen. And you talked about their big three. That is a legitimate big three right now. And I think everyone's going to say, well, the quality of competition. Hey, all you could do is play who's in front of you. That's all you can do. And the Lakers have actually beaten a couple of really good teams this season, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, to name one. I'm sure there's another one on there. Milwaukee's pretty good. They lost to Atlanta. I know that. But yeah, I mean, look, the bigger tests are going to come along the way. Obviously, they got smacked down by Oklahoma City, but that loss aside, and maybe the Atlanta loss, they've been competitive in all of these games. I think right now, the interesting thing to me is how LeBron has just kind of fit in seamlessly. And he looks so like, I'm not trying to do too much. And yet, Chaz, he's putting up 25, 6, and 6. And it didn't even feel like he's putting up 25, 6, and 6, right?
No.
I mean, it was just like another day.
He was doing his thing,
office.
man. He actually, LeBron looked the most efficient that he's looked. He's only played 3 games, right? But he's looked the most efficient out of those 3 games, and he's just going to get better and better and better. I was worried. I was like, is he going to average under 20 points? Because we don't need him to score more than 25 a game. So just looks like he's going to fall right into place with JJ, and JJ knows exactly how to use his team because they have some history and some camaraderie even off of last season. So yeah, man.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. And that's what I'm saying. They just beat you in so many different ways. Like Luka set the tone, right? That first quarter, but really the entire first half, 32 points. He ended up with 43. You would say, well, Luka had a drop off in the second half. Yeah, because once they started keying in on him, guess what happened? Austin Reeves got going. LeBron got going in the third, Reeves in the fourth quarter. Even Hachimura, made some shots there in the second half. So, give shout out to the Clippers. They battled up until that fourth quarter. They were in that game, and then things kind of got away from them, and that the chippiness started. Chris Dunn gets ejected, throwing, putting the ball into Luka's chest. Austin.
Well, hold on. We don't want to gloss over that. Hold on, really quick.
Okay,
Chris Dunn was acting like he didn't do anything at all. Chris, what did you make of the whole little skirmish or anything like that? He said that Luka flopped.
Well, look. Okay, even if Luka flopped, which, I mean, look, everybody in the NBA flops. We saw 2 plays earlier, James Harden fricking stumbles and they challenged a call and they called tripping on Marcus Smart. So if anyone should not be talking, it's Chris Dunn, because he's with one of the elite floppers in the NBA in James Harden. So you could cut that BS out right now. The fact is, yeah, of course we know that Luka flops. We know that many players in the NBA flop. And even if you did, to allow Luka to get into your head like that at a critical juncture in the game, Chris, you got to be smarter than that, bro. And clearly he lost it. He lost it. I think he saw that the game was getting away from him. He was trying to, and instead he got himself thrown out. And shout out to Jackson Hayes having Luka's back in that moment, saying, "Hey, bro, you want to talk smack, that's one thing, but you're not gonna now start getting physical with my guy over here." And Jackson Hayes got himself a tech, which Luka said, "I'm more than happy to pay for because he had my back." That was another, you're right, we shouldn't gloss over it, because you know what that showed, Chaz? This team is a lot more together than I think we've given them credit for. Because if you're 13-4 and you have seemingly all of these flaws, like I just pointed out, and you're still beating up on the competition like that, that shows that you definitely do have some chemistry. More importantly, these guys actually enjoy being in the trenches together. And I got to say, Hayes has had some tremendous chemistry with Luka as well as with Reeves and everybody else. So I'm really glad to see that the Lakers brought him back, because right now he's done really well. So just a really solid performance from the Lakers. And I was glad to see, the last thing I wanted to point out, Chaz, with those 3 guys, they just wear you down. And we've seen this throughout the season. They're able to pull away in the fourth quarter because it's like, we can't do it anymore. We can't keep up with Luka and then keep up with Reeves and now try to keep up with too many of those guys are just able to beat us. And, a lot of these teams aren't equipped with the personnel to slow any of those guys down throughout the entire game.
It's pretty clear to me who's not going to be on this team past February 5th or whenever the trade deadline is.
I have 2 names for that, but go ahead.
Those players include Vanderbilt, odd man out, Maxi Kleber. What do you mean? Why are you looking at me like that? Maxi Kleber is not going to be on this team if you can even get him off to somebody else. And Gabe Vincent. Those are the 3 guys.
Well, you said 2, so I thought you were going to go Gabe. But 2 out of 3 I agree with. Go ahead.
And then, I mean, if you got to dangle Dalton Connect in a first to get the player that you really, really want, then so be it. But I can guarantee you that the one player that's not going to be on the team, Maxi Kleber, I don't think it will be on the team, but can you get anybody to even take him? I don't, it's going to be kind of hard. But sure, the one person that isn't going to be on the team that you're probably going to have to attach an asset to or another player to, like Gabe Vincent, is going to be Vando, because you need somebody that can play defense, but that can shoot in JJ's system. And if you can't shoot or put the ball on the ground and all you can do is play defense and you can't even hit a corner 3 from time to time, then you don't belong on the team, because that's just not the way that the cook is chefing up the meal in JJ Redick. So Vando is just the odd man out ever since, I forgot who came back. It wasn't even LeBron that came back. It was somebody that came back.
No, it was Kleba. It was Kleba that's come back and really eaten those minutes from him. And he, not even Kleba's getting a lot of minutes. He's getting about 10, 12 minutes a night. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. Jared Vanderbilt, he had the foot problems in 2024. He basically spent most of 25 on the shelf, coming off the 2 off-season foot surgeries, right? And everyone thought this was going to be the year. Okay, no more surgeries. He's completely healed. He's working on, and this is why I always say, stop posting videos of these guys shooting and making 15 threes in a row in an empty gym. Nobody cares. Okay. Easy to do that. I can hit 15 threes in a row in a gym, and I have. But put me in a game, believe me, I'm quickly going to go 3 or 4 for 15, because now I'm going up against defenses. Here's the problem with Vando. He just does not fit into what JJ is doing. And if you're not able to crack the rotation while DeAndre Ayton is on the shelf, that is a major problem to me. So I couldn't agree with you more. I think him and Gabe could definitely find their way out. And Chaz, I'm going to point to 2 more things need. They need bench scoring, and they need 1 more point of attack defender. There's one name I would like to see them get. Tell me if you agree. Herbert Jones II from the Pelicans. I know he's out right now with the calf injury with the Pelicans. He's had an issue staying healthy, but when he is healthy, very good defender, can knock down the three, get to the basket, make free throws, and versatile defender. So I like his game. Tell me what you think.
Better than Vando, but no, that's not the guy that I think that they would target to move the needle. You need a guy that's been on a successful team that has played that role before. He hasn't been on, like, Herb Jones hasn't been on a successful team. They had one good year when they went to the playoffs and got trounced, I believe it was, by Phoenix in the first round. But outside of that, Herb Jones hasn't sniffed meaningful basketball in years. So I don't know if that's the type of player that they want to go after. But I do like the skill set. The skill set matches. Does the player and the actual system fit? I don't know so much, but I will give you credit and say that is the type of skill set that they need to look for, because they just need somebody that can play good defense and make a three and is, offensively, I don't know, competent is the word. Yeah. And I don't want to say Vando isn't, but it's just, you in the time that he was, it really is just the fit. And it sucks that all those players that the Lakers got from Minnesota serve them well, but they're just not there for the long haul. And D'Lo, Malik Beasley, and Vando, who was the last one standing on the Laker team. So we'll see how the Lakers go through this homestand and then go on the road at the beginning of December. We'll check back in on them, but 13-4 without Luke, LeBron for stretches, and even Reeves for a few games is very impressive and has me very surprised. One thing that also surprised me a lot this year, Chris, is the winning streak that the Detroit Pistons went on that came to an abrupt end tonight at the hands of the Boston Celtics, who beat them in a great game, a very close game. Luckily, I did have the Celtics on the money line and the spread plus 3.5. But I had New Orleans, and they go to overtime and lose, and because their coach can't call timeout on the last possession of the game. So, hey, it all balances out, right? But back to the question at hand, Chris, what did you make of the Celtics ending the Pistons' 13-game winning streak? And does this say more about the Celtics than the Pistons, or is it still all about the Pistons in the East because of how they're playing right now?
Boston's still a capable team. As long as you still have a guy like Jaylen Brown out there, you're going to give yourselves a chance. Derek White was really the difference maker in that game. I think he hit 6 threes in the second half, or he ended up with like 26, 27 points. He was outstanding. Pritchard was really good. They have a lot more younger guys making contributions to this team. We didn't see much of Anthony Simons, but he came in and hit some big free throws late. I think his name is Walsh. Matt Walsh came in. I think the third-year forward. I think he went to Arkansas. He's one of those schools down there. So yeah, I mean they're obviously, listen, they're not the Celtics of 2 years ago. They're not a juggernaut, and they're certainly not going to be a title contender without Jason Tatum. They showed out tonight, and they took this game from Detroit. And you know what, Chaz, there's always those games where it's like when a winning streak is on the line, you're always saying, that's a tricky one right there. And Detroit fell into that tonight. They were up 10 early on. But then they got themselves going Boston got themselves going, but Detroit still gave themselves a shot. I mean, Cunningham, with the final seconds, and he knows that they're going to foul him to avoid him hitting a game-tying three, hoists it up, put the pressure on the officials. They review it. They say he was in the act of shooting 3 free throws. Had he made that third one, which rimmed out, he would have had a shot at, potentially winning this game for them in OT. So for Detroit, I mean, look, they matched a franchise record. And for a team that hasn't accomplished much at all, not since Blake Griffin and Drummond and some of those other guys were there 6-7 years ago, this is a big moment for them. So they are still, to me, the team to beat right now in the Eastern Conference. That could change on a dime. But as of now, I don't think that they're I don't think there's a significant drop-off. I still think they are the top team in the East and one of the top teams in the whole NBA. But Boston got them tonight, and that happens. And Boston, I think, is still one of those teams that is still going to be tough to beat on several nights. And even some of their losses, Chaz, they've been decided late. It hasn't been like Boston's just getting smoked every single night. They're just shorthanded. You know, if they have Tatum out there, it's a much different team. But I still like what Detroit's doing. 30, what was it, 36 or 38 from Cade Cunningham. I got to say right now, here's the question I posed to you on this subject. Is Cade the MVP of the league right now, in your opinion?
No, he's not. The MVP of the league right now, I'd have to either give to Shea, Jokic, or Luka.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, those guys are just playing at a completely different level. Not to say that Cade isn't, but I mean, Luka, Shea, and Jokic are playing at all-time levels right now. Like, you could compare what they're doing right now to Wilt and Jordan and, you know, guys that have, you know, hasn't been done in decades and years. Cade will get there. He'll be a solid all-star this year. He'll be first or second team All-NBA, I think, if he keeps it up at this pace. But those three, and Giannis, he has four guys in front of him. And I mean, before he went down, Wemby as well was in that conversation. But I would put those guys ahead of Cade, but he's definitely right there in the center of the convo. I think when all is said and done, Donovan Mitchell is going to be in that convo as well. And we'll talk a little bit about the Cavs at the end of the show, but I think he's got some meat on the bone to get after also. I think this game for me says a lot more about the Pistons than the Celtics, because the Celtics are at home. It's an NBA Cup game. They obviously haven't been playing the greatest at, you know, pretty much 500 so far this season without Porzingis and without Jason Tatum, and only Derek White and Jaylen Brown. And those guys went off and still almost lost by a couple points, you know? So I think it says more about the Pistons because they're just playing gritty, hard basketball. And more than just the Pistons, it says a lot to me about Bickerstaff, their head coach.
Definitely.
Because of how he's gotten these guys to stay consistent from last season, which was an overachieving season, to this season where they're kind of expected to do something and they're still able to do it at the rate that they're doing it, which is higher than it was even last year. So I'm just very impressed with them. I'm impressed with Cade. I'm impressed with Jalen Duren and how he's just showing up on a night in and night out basis. The consistency is there for him. And you got guys that are just playing their role, and Cade just coming through in clutch time when he needs to. So for me, this game's said more about the Pistons. I do like the Celtics. They can be feisty. They can be gritty, especially at home. You got Pritchard playing at a higher level now that, you know, he's getting a lot more minutes with Jason Tatum out. But the Pistons are going to be right there. The fact that they have the best record in the East means a lot, because I think that's going to be sustainable for them over the course of a season. They'll be a top 4 seed as far as I'm concerned.
I think so too, unless there's a significant drop off or, God forbid, injury or something like that. I just think they found something. And Chaez, once again, I go back to last year. They were really good last year. They kind of got their, you know, they snuck in as the 6th seed, which I don't think anyone really expected. And they challenged the New York Knicks in that series. I think they took the 2 games that they won, because they lost in 6. The 2 games that they won were on the road at the Garden. So they showed even last year, we are not afraid of the moment. We're not afraid of the big stage. A guy like Cade is capable of handling itself. They've surrounded these young guys with the right veterans as well. And by the way, another guy that was, I forgot that he was even on the team, was Karis LeVert. And I mean, that's a really solid piece right there. A guy that can, you know, the ultimate 6 man, could come up off the bench, create his own shot, create for others, shoot from the perimeter, play off the ball. Has always been a steady presence in this league, has overcome some health issues. So I really like him as well. So they're really solid. JB Bickerstaff has done a tremendous job. You know, he kind of got a raw deal there at the end of his Cleveland stint. But I'm really glad he's gotten another opportunity with the Pistons, and he's showing why. And he's showing why he deserves it. So, you know, shout out to Detroit, man. You know, they're the real deal right now. And, you know, really the Detroit sports scene, Chaez, it's really gotten their stuff together. For years, the Lions, the Pistons, and the Tigers were a joke. And now they're some pretty credible teams, man. They're a lot of if nothing else, they're playoff bound. And, you know, that's always a good thing for for Motown, man.
I'm not going to talk anything or say anything negative about my fiance's city.
Nor should you.
So
I just complimented him.
But never mind. But
I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you.
From one team that has impressed to a team that is on the other side of the hill going down. That is the Minnesota Timberwolves, Chris. They were up by 7 with 98 seconds left to go in the game in Sacramento and completely blew that lead and then blew it in overtime to Keon Ellis, Domantas Sabonis, Malik Monk, and Russell Westbrook and DeMar DeRozan. Those guys put it on them. And then they come back tonight, going to OKC on an NBA Cup game, and actually played well to the end. But what happens in crunch time? Belt to ass, OKC, Shea does it again. He puts up numbers after numbers after numbers, and it just gives Anthony Edwards a fit every single time that they play. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander tonight, 40 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 12 of 19 from the field. I mean, Anthony Edwards was no slouch with 31, 8, and 5, shot 50% from the three-point line, took 10 threes, made 5 of them, but still the Thunder advance to 18-1.
Man.
And they've only lost 1 game all season. I don't even remember what that game was.
Was Portland.
Was that the Houston game?
It was a Portland. No. They won their first 2 on double overtime, right? I think Houston was opening night, and then Indiana their second game. And then the game they lost randomly was to Portland, which was a game that they basically gave away. I think they were on the second of a back-to-back, and they were up, and then Portland did to them what Sacramento just did to Minnesota. And by the way, the other thing you forgot to mention, this was a rematch of last year's conference finals where OKC put them down in 5 games. So I don't know if you mentioned that or not, or if I missed it, but okay. Yeah. So a rematch. And I got to say, Minnesota played well. They gave themselves a chance to win. I mean, listen, all you ask for against the Oklahoma City Thunder is let me not get my ass kicked, give up a 40-point quarter, and then, be down 25 going into the fourth. All you ask for is to give yourselves a chance. And they did. Anthony Edwards was fantastic. I thought Terrence Shannon Jr. came off the bench. It was really good, but they needed more. They needed more from Randall. They didn't get it tonight. They needed more from Jaden McDaniels. They didn't get it tonight. And McDaniels has been really good for them. The problem with Minnesota, and I saw this problem last year, they've got to address the point guard situation. Dante DiVincenzo is a nice player. I've always been a DiVincenzo fan. I wanted the Lakers to get him a few years back. He is a bench scoring guard. He is more aligned to the guys like Jason Terry, Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams, those kind of guys. They're big presences, but they're not playmaking point guards for that could set up the offense for others. They're going to set themselves up more often than not. DiVincenzo has got some playmaking, but at this stage in his career, Chaz, more of an off-the-ball three-point shooter, microwave kind of player. I don't understand why they did not address point guard situation either through free agency, through a trade, or even through the draft. You know what I'm saying? I love Mike Conley, big fan of his. He's in his 19th season. His best days are done. He should be more of a player coach at this stage in his career. They needed to go out and address the point guard situation, and they did not do that. So I think until they address that issue, there is a ceiling to what this team can accomplish, because guess what, Chaz? It all comes down to the Ant-Man to do it all, to defend the other team's best player, to go out and score 30 plus to give his team a chance, and to make plays for the Randalls, the Goberts, and the McDaniels of this team. And it's too much. And it's going to, the reason why OKC is so good, Chaz, yes, SGA is their guy. He's their highest usage guy, but they have Jalen Williams when he's healthy. They have Mitchell. They have Caruso. They have Cason Wallace. They have Chet Holmgren, who can go out and get their own shot or create for others. Even Hartenstein, out of the mid post or the high post, can go out and create for his teammates. So their system is in place where there is still more ball movement. And yes, SGA will get his ISOs, but there's still more, equal opportunity for other guys to go out there and perform and score. They don't have that in Minnesota outside of the Ant-Man. Name another shot creator, man. Maybe DiVincenzo, but not an elite level. That's the problem. So they need to go out and get somebody else who could complement Ant-Man, who can get their own shot, but also organize the offense and create for others. And I don't know who that's going to be, but that's going to be Minnesota's problem. And that's why right now they are a pretender to me.
They are definitely a pretender. They're not going to get past anybody. I'll tell you this. They won't make it past the Lakers. They won't make it past the Thunder. They won't make it past the Rockets, and they won't make it past the Nuggets. So until they make some kind of move, those are the 4 teams that are going to show up and represent the West in the finals. One of those 4 teams. I officially picked Denver, the Lakers, the Rockets, the Thunder. Really, the Thunder more than anybody is the team that's going to be right there. But overall, I just don't think that they have what it takes unless they just need to tweak a little bit more. But here's the thing. They can't take any money back in a deal.
I know.
Nor do they have a first round pick. So they don't have a whole lot of wiggle room in the first place to even make any deals that they would like to make, even if they wanted to. So that's really the hardest part for them. And I just don't see, without them making a move, them leapfrogging one of those 4 teams.
I got a trade idea for them. If Portland is out of it, go call Portland for Jrue Holiday. That solves a lot of problems for them. I don't know what that asking price
cost
is
too much. Yeah, exactly.
I understand that. I understand that, but I mean, here's the thing: what is Portland going to want? Are you willing to part ways with a Shannon and a Dillingham? That potentially, but it's also the salary. I get it. You may need to get a 13 team involved. I understand. Chaez, I understand that, but I'm saying from a personnel standpoint, I know what you're saying because it's the same thing I would be saying. Well, how does that trade work? And by the way, you could say the same thing with Houston. If Houston needs a point guard to essentially replace Fred VanVleet, which they do, and that's going to come back and bite them. Although Reed Shepherd is decent, but once again, can you trust these guys? Just like you can't trust a 38-year-old, whatever Conley is now, to be a quality starting point guard in this game, is the same reason why the Rockets can't trust Reed Shepherd long-term. Jrue Holiday solves a lot of issues for a lot of teams, but in particular, those teams, why? Because he knows how to play alongside other star guards. He's been doing it his whole career, and he's won a few championships doing it. So my point being is that would be the most gettable point guard given the team he's at and the style that he plays and his personality, the no ego and the stout leadership that he brings. But you're right. It's going to come down to what does that trade package look like and how do you fix something without breaking more stuff on your roster? That's always the big question, unless you're the Lakers dealing with Nico Harrison.
Bingo. Yeah, man, that's pretty much what it comes down to. The Wolves are not a contender, but do they have a pathway in the offseason? Absolutely. We'll see what they can do at the trade deadline. Speaking of disappointing teams, there are 2 to me in the East that are just so disappointing. And I got to ask you which one is the most disappointing, because this is supposed to be the year for either one of these teams, especially the Knicks. The Knicks have everything going for them. They got a new coach. They got no major injuries, knock on wood. They got, the Celtics aren't in the way. You got a bunch of teams that are not what they used to be. Giannis isn't really right there. Halliburton isn't in. Obviously, Jason Tatum is out. This should be the Knicks year. And here they are, 11-8, 11-6, hovering a little over 500. They're 5 games above 500. Same with the Cavs, but they're the 4 and 5 seed in the East. The Pistons and the Raptors are occupying the top 2 slots. I know it's early with only 18, 19 games in the season, but damn it, we're almost a quarter of the way through the season, and you got these 2 teams filling up those top 2 spots. What do you make of these 2 teams, and which one is more disappointing to you so far?
I would say, even though they've dealt with a lot of injuries right now, a lot of guys in and out of the lineup and whatnot, I would still say it's the Cavs, because this is 3 years this is the Cavs' like 3rd or 4th year now with Mitchell. And, we were thinking coming into the season, this is going to be these 2 teams' conference to lose. Because like we said, no Tatum, no Halliburton, Milwaukee kind of overhauled some of their roster. There is a pathway, and all these other teams are kind of young and unproven, talented, but young and unproven. I don't think we expected Detroit, and certainly not Toronto, to be where they're at right now. But Toronto is getting the job done. Barnes and Ingram are leading that brigade. They're very well coached. We got to give the Raptors a shout out because they have figured some things out. Our guy Masai Ujiri, Masai is still, he was with the team. I mean, he put a lot of the stuff in place. A lot of the signings and drafting and everything like that was still in place under his regime. I'm not familiar with the new front office execs for Toronto, but give them credit. But yeah, they've just kind of, I think, Chaz, I almost get the sense of entitlement that they kind of felt like, oh, we're basically running it back. We were in the Knicks case, we're in the conference finals last year. In the Cleveland's case, we're the number 1 seed. We could do this, blah, blah, blah. But you still got to go out there and prove that. And to me, it's two teams who expected it to be easy just by showing up. And so far that has not happened. And I hope that they, these early weeks have been a wake-up call for them to say, hey, listen, this isn't easy. These are still hungry, young, competitive teams that are seeing us as the standard in the Eastern Conference. So they are going to give us their A+ game every single night. So we have got to be able to match that intensity. Not to mention, Chaz, they have not accomplished shit, either of these teams. I mean, yes, New York went to their first conference finals last year in 25 years. Whoop-de-doo. Okay.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, exactly. And Cleveland, they've won a few series now in the post-LeBron era. Okay, whoop-de-doo. But that is low-bar stuff. If you want to be a champion, you've got to start thinking and acting like a champion. And I think the one area where these two teams hit this ceiling, I'm going to turn it over to you, is how they're being led by the personnel, because you have a lot of accomplished personnel on these rosters, and I understand you're never a champion until you're a champion. But at the same point in time, I'm wondering if, Mitchell, who's never done it, Cat, who's never done it, Brunson, who's never done it, Mobley, who's never done it, are these going to be the guys that when push comes to shove, they have the mental toughness, not just the physical toughness, the mental toughness to get these teams over the top? And right now, I'm not seeing it. So doesn't mean it can't change. I'm just saying I'm not seeing it. And to me, it's Cleveland who's more disappointing right now.
Oh, it's the Knicks. Cleveland has a little bit more of an excuse because they have one more win than the Knicks, and they've been out for the majority of the season without Darius Garland up until a few games ago. So that's really the only reason why I would choose the Knicks, other than the Cavs, because they had a major rotation player out of the rotation. But still, they're right there neck and neck. I got to go with the Knicks. The Knicks should win the championship this year, dog. Honestly, that's how good they can be. But you're getting used to new coaching staff. You got Rick Brunson still trying to, do his thing. He's got an elevated position on Mike Brown's staff now. So I don't dislike the Knicks. I just think that they could be better. And
sure,
for all intents and purposes, they may hit their stride at some point. It is still November. We haven't even gotten to Christmas yet in the NBA season. So it's a little premature to be talking about some of this stuff. But you got to talk about what's going on, when it's happening, and what it's projected to happen based on what you're seeing. And based on what I'm seeing right now, the Knicks are not going to make it to the finals based on how they're playing. Now, they still could, but based on how they're playing and based how the East is, I mean, it's wide open. The Magic, the Hawks, the Heat, and the Raptors, I don't believe in them. But the Pistons, the Magic, I mean, not the Bulls. The Bucks, if they could get their shit together later on.
Bucks need another piece, though.
Bucks need another piece. But they would give the Knicks all they could handle in a 6-7 game series, in my opinion, especially with the healthy Giannis, Miles Turner, and the rest of those guys. So
no. I was just going to say Knicks have no one that could match up with Giannis, on a 1-to-1. I mean, Josh Hart is too small, Bridges is too small, Cat's too slow. I mean, they don't really have. I mean, maybe OG. When he's healthy, but even still, it's like they're just, Giannis is a tough matchup for anybody. I don't care who you are. He's going to give you the business. But yeah, I hear what you're saying on the Knicks, but I just think the Cavs, because I think they have the personnel that really makes them difficult to match up with. The Knicks do to a certain extent, but I think the Cavs, with their size and with the potency of their backcourt, they should be better than where they are. But Chaz, like you said, it is early, and how much of this is injuries, how much of this is mentality, how much of this is being slapped upside the head by Toronto and Detroit being better than we all thought, and even Miami to a certain extent. I think we all thought Miami was going to take a step back this year, and they're 13-6. I mean, hell, Spo's fucking house burnt down, and yet he still has these guys playing, really good basketball. It just goes to show you the power of Heat culture and just what a savvy and respected and hardworking coach Eric Spoelstra is. But I mean, the East will shake out how it'll shake out. And I think in the end, in some variation, Chaz, these two teams, Cleveland and New York, are going to be somewhere in the top 4. I just think it's inevitable, barring any major injuries and barring them not having a precipitous drop-off, which I don't think is going to happen. But you're right. They should be, a little bit better. They should be 14-5. They should be, looking like the Lakers are, 13-4, So, yeah, a little disappointing thus far.
Especially when you don't have major rotation players out like the Knicks. So that's why I got to go with them. That wraps it up for the basketball talk for the evening. Before we get on out of here, the major day tomorrow is a football day. The whole weekend is football. I know there's basketball games being played tonight, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but this is the football weekend. We get tons of games, but we got to talk about last week. And are the Rams, my Rams. I don't know if they're your Rams, Chris, but they are my Rams. They defeat the Bucks in a great experience. My first time that I've ever been to a suite at SoFi Stadium. I got to watch this win. It was absolutely amazing. Shout out my auntie Debbie for inviting me to the suite that her boss set up for Rams. Absolutely belt to ass on the Bucks, 34-7. Some people want to blame the Baker Mayfield injury. It was already belt to ass, 31-7 at the half. I believe where only 3 points were scored in the entire second half of the game. Chris, easy answer to this question, but are the Rams the best team in the entire NFL right now?
I would say if they're not the best, if you don't want to use that term, which is fine. No, I'm not saying you, Chaz. Obviously, there's a bias there. I'm going to say if you're a football fan and you don't believe the Rams are the best, then you have to say they're the most complete team. They're the most together team. That is the one thing that they have shown me through these first weeks. They've had a couple of disappointing losses, which
11
I
weeks?
don't even think that they were. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, those couple of losses, you can make the argument they beat themselves. They gave those games away. They played poorly in a half. They played, poorly early on against the Niners.
Fumbling at the one against the Niners.
Fumbling against the one, blocked kicks, special team issues, but those things are correctable. And those were the silver linings even then.
Now you got the thicker kicker in there.
The thicker kicker, Mavis, who also proved in that game that he could, hit field goals from deep. So hopefully that continues. But we all know, kickers are like relief pitchers there, Chaz. They for a stretch, maybe even for a season, and then they all of a sudden struggle. But for right now, we're going to give Mavis the benefit of the doubt. Here's what I love about the Rams. They have done it through the draft, from a time, and I think I said this last week, Les Snead, the general manager, used to be F them picks, and now he's like, F you for your picks. That's what we're doing. And by the way, they also own Atlanta's first rounder for 2026. So they have a chance to get themselves another impactful player. But the one thing about this team is I was unsure about how Devontae Adams was going to look because we've seen this story before from two different ends of the spectrum. We saw it work really well with OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I should say, when the Rams won the Super Bowl. And then we've seen it work in the negative direction with Sammy Watkins, with Allen Robinson, who I pointed out to you before the show, where it hasn't worked with some of these speedy, deep threats. And we thought, Adams not looking good in Vegas with the Raiders, not looking good with the Jets in a reunion with Aaron Rodgers. How's he going to look? He's been outstanding. It took a little bit of time, but since that Puka Nacua injury, Stafford and him got on the same page, and now he's been activated looking like he did those years with Green Bay. Just such a fantastic receiver, and I think a great compliment to Nacua. That's what really, makes him such a dynamic threat. And the play calling is better. There's more runs. You're seeing Kyron Williams and Blake Corum on the backfield get more runs. We've seen more 2 tight end sets. We're seeing Terrence Ferguson involved, Davis Allen, Colby Parkinson, Tyler Higbee, 4 tight ends. When have you seen that in a Sean McVay offense where Tyler Higbee, you almost forgot he was on the team because he never got targeted? So that's on the offensive side. The special teams has gotten it together, like we mentioned. And the defense, that front 4, Verse, Turner, Young, Fisk, you're just coming at
that front 4 is the
ways.
best in the league.
And then you have the secondary too with, Forbes has come on, Durant, Lake before he got hurt, Weatherspoon, who before he got hurt, Darius Williams is good. So, they are just so well coached. Shout out to the coordinators, Mike LaFleur on offense, Chris Shula on defense, but McVay and the culture that this team has been able to implement where when you come here, good things can happen because we put you in the best position to be successful. That, you mentioned Baker Mayfield. There is a reason why he's the starting quarterback with the Bucs. Not taking anything away from Todd Bowles or Liam Cohen back when he was a coordinator. But if he does not have the success, even in a short sample size with the Rams, he is a career backup, albeit even out of the league. So even he admitted that season where the Rams were like 5-12, that saved his career. That just goes to show you what Sean McVay is capable of doing and how he's able to tailor his coaching to the talent around him. And right now, complete and together and healthy. Those are the 3 keys for the Rams right now. And that's why they're the best team in the league to me, or one of the best teams.
The Rams are the best team in the league. The NFC is going to have to go through SoFi Stadium because the Rams are going to win at least 3 of their final 6 games. And they're already 1 up on the lead above everybody in the NFC. So I think that they're going to beat. They have the Lions left on their schedule. They have the Seahawks left. They have Arizona twice left on their schedule. They got Carolina and they got Atlanta. They very well, at worst, I see them 4-2. At best, they could run the table and be 15-2 when the season is done and really have a stranglehold on the NFC. So I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that they'll win all 6. I think that they'll lose twice. I think that they'll lose one of those games. It won't be
at
Detroit.
Seattle and Detroit. I disagree. I think that's the one. They're going to cough up either the Carolina, Atlanta, or Detroit game to me. But go ahead.
Detroit, they have at home, I think, and they've lost to Detroit, I think, on 3 consecutive occasions, one of which was in the playoffs. So, or 2 of which was one of which was in the playoffs.
No, one was in the playoffs. Yeah, 2 years ago.
I think that they'll get up for the Detroit game. I could see them blowing, one of either the Carolina or Atlanta game, and the Seattle game up in Seattle is going to be pretty tough. Even though I think Chris Shula, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, has Sam Darnold's number, especially after these last 2 wins over the Vikings in the wild card, and then a couple weeks ago in SoFi where Sam Darnold threw 4 picks. So the Rams are the best team in the league, better than the Broncos, in my opinion, better than the New England Patriots, and obviously better than the Philadelphia Eagles, who can't even hold on to a 21-point lead against the Cowboys, who are better defensively, but are not world beaters at all, even though Dak Prescott and Pickens are playing out of their minds. So
for sure. And that's going to be a good game tomorrow, them versus the Chiefs. Chaz, one name we haven't mentioned, Matthew Stafford, playing like an MVP. And I heard 2 interesting stats. 1, he hasn't thrown an interception since I think week 3. And then 2, during that stretch, he's got like 25 touchdown passes, So, you've got a guy that at an advanced stage in his career, when a lot of guys start to wear down, where some are not even starting quarterbacks anymore, that are basically relegated to backup roles, or, they're just utilizing the run game and the defense a la Peyton Manning at the latter stages of his career. But this guy still looks as good as ever, Stafford. So shout out to him finding a way to get through the back injuries and the aches and pains and the wear and tear of what I think this is his 16th or 17th season in the NFL. Yeah. To overcome all of that and to still be elite an elite starting quarterback is pretty remarkable. So, you know, and if he adds one more Super Bowl title and perhaps even an MVP this year, because Jonathan Taylor now is starting to cool down a little bit. So, I mean, there's going to be, I'm sure, a plethora of options for MVP, but right now, if the Rams keeps this stuff up with a 14-3 record, best record, it's going to be hard not to give it to Matthew Stafford. And one more thing, shout out to our guy Paco on here. He was saying he would just Lakers and happy Thanksgiving Eve, fellas. So right back at you, Paco. Thanks for joining us tonight, man. Sorry I wasn't on your spaces last night, but yeah, always good to hear from you, my friend.
I got one pick before we get on out of here, Chris.
Hit me with it.
I went 1-3 last week. The only pick that I got right was the Colts plus 3.5 at Kansas City. I only got one pick for you guys, and that's the Rams. Psych, not the Rams. It's the Detroit Lions money line. Just take the money line.
Okay.
Lions over the Packers in the morning, first game of the Thanksgiving Day. I do have a parlay. I play a favorites parlay every year with all three games. I like it this year. I got the Chiefs, I got the Lions, I got the Ravens, all of which are favored to win the game. Plus 238 on that parlay if you want to run all three of those teams together. But if you just want to play it safe, just take the Lions because I think they'll get up for the Packers on Thanksgiving. And that's it. That's all I got.
Always, yeah.
That's all we got.
Always a good
Go
game.
ahead, Chris.
Oh, no. I was just going to say that's always a good game. Packers and Lions. You know, when those NFC North teams get at each other, man. I mean, I know everyone's division games, but it's always when the North gets together because there's always a rivalry. Packers and Vikings, Packers and Lions. It just always kind of, you know, Bears and Packers. There's always
it's the division with the oldest rivalries.
Right, exactly. And there's exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's always something special there, just like in baseball, Dodgers, Giants, or, you know, Red Sox, Yankees. There's just something about when these old rivals get together, you're going to get jacked up. And how could I forget even Lakers, Celtics? You know, that is, you know, still one of the premier rivalries in all of sports. So, and I'm sure there's a few in hockey as well. But yeah, no, I like that pick. I think I have Green Bay in the money line at 2.5. But yeah, Lions, I don't know. You know, they've just been so hard to gauge this season, you know, more so than other years. So we'll see what, you know, what Jordan Love and company has up their sleeve. And if they could go to Ford Field and come up with that upset, Chaz, or does Goff and company, you know, keep it rolling and get a much needed division win?
We'll see. I got Goff. Well, we appreciate you guys for tapping in with us. We will see you guys next week, next Wednesday, 8:15. As you guys know it, every week. Appreciate you guys tapping in with us. We will see you next week. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day. Everyone be safe. And don't drink and drive. Order that Uber when you're getting home. We'll see you guys next